Thank you very much, Presiding Officer, and I congratulate Iain Gray on bringing this debate to the Chamber this evening. And I think he makes an important point that while there may be a bit of behind-the-hand sniggering about the concept of debating about toilets, it is important to remember that, first and foremost, there are many nations across this world where, as Iain Gray rightly points out, the use of the toilet is both hazardous to health and also often extremely dangerous just in terms of accessing a toilet in the first place. But I think Iain Gray makes some very important points, and I was very interested to hear about the example of his constituent. And having been in that situation with my son, who, because he is not toilet trained, requires more space than a toilet cubicle often in order to use the toilet. Not to mention the fact that he gets sensory overload from the sound of hand dryers. So using an accessible toilet where you know that it will only be yourselves in there and you won't have to worry about somebody setting off a hand dryer and potentially triggering an autistic meltdown is extremely important. But when you emerge from that toilet holding the hand of your child who is walking freely, it does often get met with sceptical looks, and people do, I think, as Iain Gray says, associate the concept of accessible toilets with wheelchair users. So I was interested in what he said, and I say to him that if he wants to forward on information to me regarding Grace's campaign and her sign, I'd be more than happy to receive it and look and see if there's anything I can do through my work with organisations like National Autistic Society Scotland and also in my constituency to try and maybe promote this as an opportunity to change signage, because I think the work that he has outlined that Grace is doing I think is commendable, but the more shoulders that you put to the wheel, the more chance there is of making change. So I'm happy to receive that from him and to perhaps have a conversation with him at some point regarding that. And there's one other thing I wanted to mention today, Presiding Officer, and that's the campaign on Changing Places Toilets, which I've been heavily involved in alongside the organisation PAMIS, who are leading on this in Scotland, and also the Changing Places Consortium, which are promoting Changing Places Toilets. And the issue first sort of came to light to me when I shadowed a carer, Stephanie Chalmers from Turriff in Aberdeenshire, whose son Connor required hoist equipment in order to use the toilet. And it outlined to me just how difficult it was for Stephanie and Connor to enjoy what most of us would classify as a normal day out, because the often required military planning in order to know exactly where they could access a toilet facility that was suitable for Connor's needs and make sure they were somewhere in the vicinity of said facility in order to then access it should the need arise. And that's why I've been so impressed with the work that's been done, driven by the Changing Places Consortium and PAMIS, ably backed by the Scottish Government's Keys for Life Learning Disability Strategy, and why the target that was in that strategy has not just been met, it has been smashed, and work continues to go on to promote Changing Places Toilets. And I think one of the things that's been highlighted to me is the idea that these facilities can only exist in large venues, and to some extent that's true. I think we need to see more large venues adopting a Changing Places toilet. I know Jenny Mara, who I suspect is about to speak in the debate, has called for that at the SECC. That's something I've backed. I've written to the football clubs in Scotland, encouraging them to incorporate Changing Places facilities. I wrote last season to all of the top flight teams and the top 3 teams in the Championship, who at that time were Hearts, Hibs and Rangers. I only received 3 replies from those 15 letters that I sent from Celtic, Dundee United and Aberdeen, which I passed on to PAMIS, and I know that they've been trying to engage with those clubs. But I think until such time as we have sporting venues, music venues, airports, we don't have a single Changing Places toilet in any of Scotland's airports. That's something I think needs to change as well. Until we can make those steps forward, I think we will be in a situation where many people will still feel that the dignity that is afforded to all of us when we go to any venue, go on holiday, go for a day out, is being denied to them in some way. So I commend Iain Gray for bringing this debate to the Chamber and allowing us the opportunity to outline, I think, some very important points that relate to it.